Hello everyone, welcome to Contentment Guide Astrology. I am Michelle. So we are in eclipse season already. I can hardly believe it. This year is absolutely flying by. And thank you for being here. Please like, please share, please comment. I love to hear about your experiences. Please share this with others if you find value here and you think others might find value in this guidance. And we are experiencing a full moon lunar eclipse this week. Where I'm at in South Africa, it's happening on the 14th of March at 8:54 in the morning. So adjust for your time zone. It is happening in the sign of Virgo at 23 degrees 56 minutes of Virgo. So Virgo is that archetype of logic. It is earthy. It wants to be grounded. It likes things to be practical. It likes to do things systematically. And with this earth sign, it comes with its ruler Mercury. And Mercury is all about our thoughts. It is about how our mind functions. It can be about commerce and business. And Mercury is also mutable. It can relate to conscious and unconscious aspects of ourselves and how that relates to our mind and our thought processes and our thinking. So this is a very interesting full moon lunar eclipse. It is happening with the South Node. And in ancient astrology, the South Node is seen as being diminishing. So there's some kind of diminishing quality in terms of the energies in that part of where Virgo falls for you in your chart being diminished at the moment. And we may have to dig a little bit deeper to find grounding and to find a way forward. And even with the Ching guidance and the tarot guidance that I will share later, this also really comes to the forefront at the moment. So the full moon, the moon is at 23 degrees 56 minutes of Virgo, and the sun is at 23 degrees 56 minutes of Pisces, on the opposite side, as we have with every full moon. And what we have with this full moon is the sun being right next to Saturn. This Saturn is at 22 degrees of Pisces, and the sun is at 23 degrees of Pisces. So this can feel a little bit heavy. The sun and Saturn are often seen as polar opposites, the sun being illuminating and life-giving, that gives us life force and growth and the ability to move forward. And Saturn is often seen as the opposite archetype. Saturn can bring a heaviness. It can bring limitations to where we want to go. It can even bring negation and no's that we can't move forward in a certain direction that we would like to move forward in. So the sun conjunct with Saturn can feel a little bit heavy. It can often even be seen as a little bit more of a depressing aspect, as Saturn is bringing those qualities of heaviness and negation and limitations to the sun. So be very mindful of these energies at this time. The sun being conjunct with Saturn is still going to last until the 16th of March. So just keep these energies in mind, because things could feel a little bit over the top heavy at the moment. And just be aware that this is not going to last. These energies will change, and the sun is going to separate from Saturn by the 17th and the 18th of March. So what other aspect is very prominent with this full moon eclipse is that Uranus is in the mix. So when we look at eclipses, they are often seen as points where evolution happens a little bit faster. There is something that can, it's almost like suddenly things can happen much faster than you thought they would, or have a change of direction. Certain things can come into your life with eclipses, and certain things can be removed. And this is a very similar energy to what we have with the planet Uranus. And Uranus is also the strongest planet, the planet that's making the strongest aspects to the moon and the sun at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse. So with Uranus, it is often a archetype that brings sudden illumination. It can bring insights. It can bring also sudden changes in direction, and just things that were previously hidden can sometimes quickly come to light with the planet Uranus. So Uranus is currently at 24 degrees and 2 minutes of Taurus. So it is sextiling the sun, and it is trining the moon at the time of this lunar eclipse. So sextiles and trines are seen as more flowing, harmonious aspects. So even though Uranus can come out of left field and bring really unexpected developments, the fact that it is sextiling the sun and trining the moon makes it more smooth and makes it so that whatever changes happen, we should be able to integrate these more easily and move forward more easily with new ideas, light bulb moments, changes of direction, all of these things that can happen with Uranus. But the interesting part of this full moon lunar eclipse is that, yes, it's happening in Virgo. The ruler of Virgo is Mercury, and Mercury is in the sign of Aries at the moment. And on the very next day, Mercury is turning retrograde for 23 days. And this is happening at 9 degrees and 35 minutes of Aries. So there is something about this eclipse that is going to be about development, because the ruler is just about to go into retrograde. So Mercury is usually quite fast moving. It is one of the fastest planets in the sky, and the fact that when this full moon and lunar eclipse is happening, Mercury is basically standing still in the sky. So this is something that is bringing a slowness, a more contemplative and inward aspect to this Mercury at this time. So Mercury is going to be retrograde for 23 days. It is going to meet up with the sun and form a new seed point moment, a cazimi, on the 26th of March at 4 degrees of Aries. It is then going to retrograde back into the sign of Pisces, and only on the 7th of April it moves direct again at 26 degrees of Pisces. So we are going through a bit of a process here with this lunar eclipse and with Mercury. So whatever develops at this time might be a little bit slower, and it really might be things that we really need to re-evaluate at this time. So with Mercury retrograde, it's all about rethinking your plan, re-evaluating where you may have been going. It's all the reasons that we are going inward, and we are investigating if we are actually moving forward on the correct path, and how we are now moving inward, re-evaluating things before we move forward again. So Mercury only ends its shadow period after it starts moving forward on the 26th of April, again at 9 degrees of Aries. So you can see between the 14th of March, when this lunar eclipse is happening, the 15th of March, when Mercury starts its retrograde, these experiences that we are having at the moment can take all the way till the 26th of April to play out. So this is basically a 6-week period where we are dealing with this retrograde Mercury, and things can change and shift. We can have changes of direction. Our thoughts and our plans can have a radical change, and even more so with Uranus being involved with this full moon lunar eclipse. So as you can see, these are interesting energies because Mercury and Uranus are usually both very fast acting, and things can change in a very fast way. But because of the ruler Mercury turning retrograde, we might have insights that happen at this full moon. And because of the retrograde, it might take some weeks before we find a new way forward. So this is definitely a time to be mindful, to go step by step, to really see. And I think there is a space here with Saturn to really bring wisdom before we move forward, because the more positive archetypes of Saturn is wisdom. It is that ability to take a long-term view and not just rush forward before we move. It is that ability to really ground ourselves before we take the next step. So if we take those positive aspects of Saturn that is sitting with the Sun at this moment, it's also going to help us in the month and even the 6 weeks following this lunar eclipse. So I hope these energies make sense to you, and see where the areas of Virgo falls for you in your chart, because that's the area that is actually being eclipsed by this lunar eclipse, and also where Uranus is sitting for you in the house of Taurus, and also where Saturn and the Sun are sitting in Pisces. And then I want to bring you the guidance that I got from the Ching at this time. I like doing this manually. I throw the coins. I find the Ching guidance is always so apt, and I love bringing that into the reading. So I got hexagram 39, which is called obstructions or obstacles. And then there were 2 changing lines that changes this into hexagram 5, which is waiting for the right time. So as you can see, this guidance feels very much related to that influence of Saturn. It is maybe a little bit of an obstacle time, where obstacles show up, where we feel some obstructions. And it's also a time for going inward and re-evaluating and waiting. So hexagram 39 reads, find new ways of seeing what lies in your way at this moment. Don't magnify the obstacles, but retreat and reimagine the situation. Wait for the right time to proceed. You will know when this time has come. Don't limp forward. retreat, and reimagine. By reimagining, you can connect with greatness. So this is all about rethinking the situation, and it is about moving slowly. Then it changed into hexagram 5, and this is called waiting, or waiting for the right time. It reads, this is a time of surrender and of waiting. Nourish yourself and your experience before moving. Have patience. Don't think of waiting as a burden. Connect with spirit. It is happening at the right time. So this guidance is all about reconnecting with yourself. It's about nourishing yourself. It's about recognizing the obstacles and obstructions without focusing on them too much and magnifying them. Instead, it is about reimagining the situation. So I think this is very valuable guidance at this time. I'm certainly going to take it to heart. And yes, a time for, again, moving slowly, step by step. We are also at this time in the Venus retrograde, which you can check out. I will leave a link for that video below. So we are re-evaluating many parts of our lives at the moment and finding new ways forward. And then the last thing I would like to share for this full moon lunar eclipse is my tarot card. I drew a card and I received the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is all about finding inner balance. It is about working with our emotions. As you can see, he's very firmly sitting on a very grounded base, but he is surrounded by quite choppy waters. And the choppy waters in the tarot represent our emotions. And he is all about finding inner balance in the face of emotions, in the face of obstruction and obstacles, about finding that inner balance. So the King of Cups is about self-care. It is about self-compassion and wisdom, and having compassion with others. It is about being loving. It is about having a diplomatic approach to change. Understanding is used above force. So at this time, the Ching and the Tarot both tell us not to force things, to really re-evaluate before we move forward, and gaining an understanding before we proceed. It is about navigating complexity with wisdom. So I feel that this card and also the Mercury retrograde is really asking us to find new wisdom at this time, to really find new ways in our thoughts, in our belief systems, before we take action, and to not place too much attention on the obstructions and the obstacles that might show up, but rather focusing on going inward and re-evaluating and seeing things from a new perspective. So the next eclipse is happening on the 29th of March. This is a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. I will make a video to follow about that. And please share your experiences at this time. I think we are in such a big time of change and development. And I love to hear your experiences. Please like, please subscribe, please share with others if you find value. I love being here and giving you this guidance, and I will see you next time.